Hi Griffin Scopers, welcome back into our magic cozy little sang booth, the corner of YouTube where we like to do soul birth card character analysis, getting into the very heart and soul of a person's character and personality traits and their various life lessons that they came into this world to learn. So today we are looking at Jeffrey Epstein, and before I get into it, let me give you my disclaimer. So everything that comes out of my mouth today onto the table is purely for entertainment purposes only and therefore must be taken as such. Also, if anybody would like a private reading with me, then please do get in touch. My email address is in the description box. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's have a look. So I'm just going to do a little sang cleanse, bring love, light and protection, as you always do, Spirit. So it's said that Jeffrey is actually a Aquarius, but when you look at the actual time he was born, so he was born on the cusp of Capricorn, Aquarius, and his reported birth time is 3:15 a.m. So on January the 20th, 1953, in 53, the sun moved from Capricorn into Aquarius at 3:44. So that morning. And since Epstein was born at 29 minutes before the sun entered Aquarius, he would have been born with the sun still in Capricorn, making him a Capricorn. So at the very end of that particular sun sign. So when we place these two cards side by side, because these are the character set that govern Capricorn, they become like a mirror for the life choices and like the shadow legacy of Jeffrey Epstein. So the Lovers is a card of beauty, alignment, sacred connection, but also it's like a test of a choice, if you will. Will you choose integrity over temptation? Will you honor love and the heart's choice, or control it? So now enter the Devil, and the same two figures as we see in the Lovers, but now they're chained. The angel is gone and it's replaced by a demon. And this is not love, it's obsession. It's dominance. It's a performance of intimacy built on power and fear. Fear is something that definitely goes with the Devil card. So where the Lovers offers freedom, the Devil says, you belong to me. So the Devil is the shadow side of the Lovers. It's what happens when the same wrong choice is made over and over again, away from conscience and much more towards control. So Jeffrey Epstein lived his life kind of like on this tarot axis. So on the surface, he played the Lovers, charming, connected, intellectually sharp, able to impress people and the kinds of relationships that he had, but also manipulation. So he was a seducer and the captor. It's like the angel was whispering, you know, make a choice, but the Devil won. So not because he didn't know the difference between a good choice and a bad choice, but because he chose not to care. So what these energies are saying, when you silence the angel on your shoulder long enough, then the Devil doesn't have to seduce you anymore, because it's like you become him, you become the Devil itself. So Epstein sold the illusion of freedom while tightening the invisible chains. We see the chains in the figures there. So the Lovers always comes before the Devil, asking you, what will you choose? And his life wasn't an accident. It was a repeated choice. Power over love. control over truth, secrecy over vulnerability, and ego as well over empathy. So the Lovers, think of the Lovers as kind of like a fork in the road, and the devil is what's waiting when you keep walking down that same wrong road, the wrong choice. And for him, it was like he was never to turn back from that road. So the karmic consequence will be that the soul becomes bound to the very chains that it forged for others. So reincarnation wise, this could manifest as kind of like a powerlessness in the future lifetimes. So things like isolation, degradation, karmic servitude, repeated experiences as well of being disbelieved or dehumanized. So there may be lifetimes where the soul is kind of stripped of the privilege that he came into this world with, so that he is forced to understand. So many see his death as kind of like a great escape, or that justice was denied. But through the karmic lens, death doesn't free the soul. It changes the landscape in which the karma kind of unfolds. So if he left this life with no remorse, no awakening, no attempt to repair his past deeds, then his next incarnations will carry the energetic weight of what he refused to face. So think, guys, that karma is not about punishment. It's about the soul's education. So this is what can happen when a soul turns its back on the very reason that it was born. The Hangman, let's just move those across for a second. The Hangman is a card of spiritual pause. So this is his soul card, his soul path, his soul life lessons. And the pauses that come along in life for Hangman people, it's a time when they need to suspend kind of pushing forward in order to see the world from a completely different perspective, to allow that new perspective to grow. It's a card of letting go of one's ego so that the mind and the spirit can rise. Surrender would be a watchword that goes with the Hangman. But Epstein never surrendered. He clung to control. He never sought enlightenment. You know, those light bulb moments that happen when we're suspended, when we're forced to take a pause in life. Those light bulb moments never happened. The enlightenment never came. So he was never transformed. The Hangman asks, what are you willing to give up and surrender in order to evolve? But Epstein's answer would be, well, you know, I'm not prepared to give up anything, nothing. He refused to pause over and over, and thus the alignment was broken again and again, never to gain the enlightenment. So because of the lessons that he resisted to learn, then, you know, he failed to do what he came here to learn about. The Empress, as a soul card, speaks to sacred responsibility to nurture life creatively, emotionally, and spiritually. So she governs fertility, but not just of the body, you know, ideas, creativity. She carries the ability and the potential to birth beauty, again, creatively into the world. It's a card of artists. So through creating, she would be environments that, you know, his sole purpose would be to create environments where people can grow and thrive, this kind of thing. But in Epstein's case, we see the Empress path was completely derailed. So it's Empress in her shadow state, that ego entitlement and the weaponization of feminine energy and beauty. So his soul's path may have been one that should have incurred things like the protection and care of the vulnerable, but instead he cultivated harm. It's a tragedy of his soul that he abandoned his divine feminine contract in favor of that control. So the Empress here, like I said, becomes inverted, manipulates and seduces in order to dominate. Nothing is nourished here when she's in her shadow side. And instead of creating life and providing a sanctuary to the vulnerable, he turned fertility and beauty into currency, intimacy into leverage, and innocence into kind of machinery, all cloaked in beauty's feminine skin. And I feel like this is a really kind of profound betrayal of the Empress path. Now, the karmic price of violating the Empress archetypal energies is like the withering of a soul's ability to connect to anything that's real. Epstein's life shows a rejection of both callings of the hangman and the Empress. He refused to surrender. He inverted the Empress gifts, using intimacy as a weapon rather than a blessing. So my feeling is, you know, that he abandoned his purpose for being here. He abandoned those life lessons, and no doubt there will be a devastating karmic echo that follows him when these sacred archetypes are betrayed in this way. So sometimes, guys, you know, souls like his become teachers of a different kind, reminding us of the responsibility that comes with influence, desires, and the choices that we make. So interestingly enough, the year that he went out on were the same hangman energies, the Empress energies that he came in on. He went out on these energies with his death. There's a lot of conspiracies around his death, of course. And Jeffrey Epstein's death by alleged suicide found, you know, he was found hanged in his jail cell, and I just feel like it really eerily kind of mirrors the imagery of the hangman. He died quite literally in the position of this archetype. His soul, you know, this is the archetype his soul was born under, and this is how he went out, in this position, alone, suspended, awaiting judgment, and with the world watching. Right, let's pop those down for a moment and let's just get some oracle cards. Okay, so anything that we need to know, please, around Jeffrey Epstein, his death, his life, anything that we need to know. So with that conspiracy around his death, my feeling is he, you know, he's not alive. The fact that that hangman's come up and that's the position that he crossed over in. It's just too much of a coincidence. So that's my feeling on that one. Okay, show us the energy, please. Show us energy, anything we need to know about Jeffrey Epstein, anything you can tell us that will help our knowledge and help us to understand. Anything more? Right, we've got a faller. Well, there you go, says it all. Narcissist, egotistical, opportunist, but also fragile. Devil energy would create a narcissist. Interesting. Okay, so from the charms, I love the sound that these charms make. It's very satisfying. Okay, it's those two. What have we got? Only two. So we've got a telephone. That kind of reminds me of, oh, crikey, I just dropped it. Kind of reminds me of his clandestine connections, little black book. And we've also got a thimble. I actually thought that was a bell, but there's no, there's nothing inside it. It's definitely a thimble. And I guess a thimble protects the finger that sews the fabric. Interesting. Okay, guys, make of that what you will. Drop your comments in the box below. I'll be reading them all later. And you fly well, my friends. Next reading, we're going to lift the energies a little bit more and go for something a little bit happier, I think. Okay, thanks for staying with me. Bye for now.